So as we go through this, watch for the melted rims, melted glass, missing door handles, melted engine blocks, and notice that there is no foliage around these cars to burn. The heat did not get to the cars through the burning bushes next to them because there were none. The only other thing that Normie would say is that it was the embers that blew in the wind. I'm not going to try and explain plasma fire to a newcomer. Missing gas cap cover, melted rims, melted engine blocks. Missing glass, not a single piece of glass in any of the cars. All of them burnt equally. There are none that are half burned, or a quarter burned, or three-quarter burned. They're all burnt 100%. They all look identical. They have the rust color. Paint burned all the way off each and every one of them. But there's no trees or bushes around any of them to cause them to catch fire. Each one of these, according to the Normie, caught fire because the embers that were blowing in the wind. So we're pretty late in the game for people to catch up if they don't have some sort of understanding. Here we'll just go over some of the repetitive images that we've seen for the last 5 years as I've been covering this subject. Melted engine block, glass is missing. Door, the entire door on this is missing. We've seen that before, that's not the first time. Fire doesn't burn a whole door and then leave the rest of the car. Electricity-based plasma fire does that. The melted rims. Rims are gone, glass is gone. Door handle's gone, engine block melted. Door handles on all of them, missing. The identical repetitive burn pattern on all of them, like I said, none of them are burned halfway, or a quarter way, or three-quarter way. They're all burned completely, left with that white ash color. None of them have any black charcoal on them, and they all have their door handles missing. Fire does not burn that consistently. Fire burns one car, and then... Anyway, I'm not going to explain how this isn't regular fire. And people that are saying it looks like a war zone, like a bomb hit. Well, that's what I noticed too at the fire in Spanish Fork Canyon in 2018. That it looked more like a bomb exploded rather than a fire. The fact that they're all identically burn pattern. The missing glass, missing door handles, melted rims, rust color, 100% burned on all of them. None of them are partially burned. Here, you see that all the houses are burned to the ground and the trees in between are still standing. And the houses, just like the cars, are burned identically, 100% to a white powder ash. None of them have black charcoal, half-burned furniture, or a half-burned house, or a quarter-burned, or three-quarter burned. They're all 100%, and they look identical to the one on either side of them. Fire doesn't burn that consistently.
Few days. We can put into words.
Heartbreaking images coming from Maui's Lahaina.
It's like a war zone.
Everybody we know lost their homes. Every apartment.
We don't know anyone yet who kept their homes.
James and Tennille Brueggemann sent us this video showing the damage in Lahaina. Burned out cars just left in the street.
If these cars are probably trying to get out of town, is my guess. And they did not make it.
Exactly like a war zone. People, dead people in the streets, dead animals in the streets, cars abandoned, everything burnt.
Update on the Hawaiian fires. Now I want you to look at this footage, and this sure doesn't look like a fire to me. It looks like something almost exploded or something went off. Now what's interesting is certain things are still standing while other things are not. Now the governor did say this is climate change doing this. Interesting. What they don't talk about is in January how they had in Maui a smart city conference to turn Maui into an entire smart island, changing everything to electric, renewables, solar panels, and pushing everybody into electric vehicles. 15-minute smart cities. So now what's also interesting is next month in September, Hawaii is hosting the Digital Government Summit utilizing AI to govern the island. It's almost like they're resetting something to start rebuilding for this in which they're trying to push. Now, when we look at all the climate change narrative that they're going to try to push, but they're not going to talk about the Weather Modification Act of 1976. I highly recommend everybody look into this act, because who is involved in the weather modification activities? Department of Agriculture, Department of Defense, Department of Interior, EPA, and NASA. So if they're modifying the weather, then could they have caused this event? So if we see that the Department of Defense and other factions are responsible for modifying the weather, well then if we look at direct energy weapons, we can maybe see how this can all relate to this event.